If you're watching this video, you're probably overwhelmed trying to plan your well-deserved Vegas vacation. In this video, I'm going to break it down into a simple approach and hopefully help you find the best fit for your Vegas vacation. I'm Melissa with Up and Our Way. We've taken over 100 trips to Las Vegas and become really experts in booking our trips and planning out our time and saving money in the meantime. All right, let's get started. Choosing a hotel to stay at is probably the hardest part of planning your trip. There are so many to choose from, and it's really just hard to figure out what's the best for you. So I would say to break it down this way. First, choose a location where you want to stay. So the main locations are the Strip and the Fremont Street or downtown area. So let's talk a little bit about both of those. So starting on the Strip, I found this map at LasVegasDirect.com, and it gives you a really good idea of all of the hotels that are on the Las Vegas Strip and nearby it. So the benefits to staying on the Las Vegas Strip is that there are beautiful hotels. They all have different architectural styles and all have fun and unique things about them. And that's really what makes the Strip special. There are hotels that have great rooms, some pretty amazing pools, and there are just neat features that you can find in different hotels. Of course, plenty of gambling, and then there are shows and attractions all over, and you can't forget about all of the restaurants. There are a ton of them. The best views can be found on the Strip. You really can't beat what you can find there. The biggest drawback to the Strip has got to be how far everything is. It takes you forever to get from one place to another. Everything seems like it's close together, but it's really not. And there's a lot of traffic on the Strip as well. So now taking a look at this map of downtown that I found at LasVegasHowTo.com, you can see that there are far fewer hotels in the downtown area, and it's a much more compact area. And what you can find on Fremont Street is a whole bunch of fun stuff. There are street performers, there are 3 stages with live bands that go all night on the weekends, zip lining, there's a great food, and of course there are casinos everywhere. So the pros are the walkability for sure. Everything is close by. You can easily get from point A to point B, and there are a lot of fun activities. I would say that the cons though are that the hotels for the most part are older, small rooms, and you're gonna get a lot of noise at night just because everything is so loud down below. But you do have options to stay at one of the newest hotels, Circa, which has newer rooms and probably has better insulation for the noise. And if you stay at El Cortez or Plaza on the far sides, you're gonna get less noise there as well. So now that you've narrowed it down to what area of town you want to stay, you got to narrow it down again. So if you want to stay on the Strip, it's 4.2 miles long. So now you got to narrow it down to figure out where on the Strip you want to stay. A lot of people like to stay center Strip because it's just in the middle of the action. But you got to take a look at what hotels are there, what's in your budget, and see if they have the amenities that you want. Now speaking of budget, there are a few things that you should consider. If you stay farther from center Strip, like let's say you stay at the far side at Mandalay Bay, because it's not the best location, you're going to get a better price for a really nice hotel. So these are the types of things that you need to think about in your process of searching for your hotel. If keeping that hotel price down is really important to you, consider coming Sunday through Thursday rather than Friday and Saturday nights. Also, if you have to come on a weekend, try to avoid busy weekends like Memorial Day and Labor Day weekend, Super Bowl, March Madness. Even some of the trade shows like the Consumer Electronics Show and SEMA, which is the automotive show, are really going to drive up prices. So be aware of what's going on during the time you're looking to come, and the more you can be flexible with your dates, the better pricing you're going to get. As you're narrowing down your hotels, one of the things that you need to think about is the food options at that property. So we've stayed at hotels like, let's say Bellagio or Wynn, where there really aren't good food options for like quick bites. So you can't just run down to a food court like here at Caesar's Palace and just grab a bite of pizza or a burger. So it's something to consider if that is important to you. So when you're ready to book your hotel, there are several ways you can do it. The first three I'm going to talk about are going to save you a little money. So first, if you are a member of a player's card, so let's say you have an MGM or a Caesars property near you that you go and gamble at, you might have a player's card already. And if you do, I really encourage you to call the number on the back of the card or go online and see if you have any discounts or even comped rooms. You may be surprised. Second, if you play the My Vegas app, you should go into your rewards and see if you have enough to get a free stay. If you can be flexible with your dates, there's a good chance you may be able to stay on the house or on the My Vegas app. Third, if you have any hotel points, like with Hyatt or with Marriott, you should look into whether or not you might want to use your points for your trip. So for example, Hyatt is actually partners with the MGM properties. So there is a whole number of properties that you can stay with on points if you choose to stay at one of those properties. And I will tell you that the points values that you need to book are not that unreasonable. Marriott has a few hotels as well. Cosmopolitan happens to be one of them. Also, if you have a Chase Sapphire card or an American Express card, you can transfer points to the hotel brands and book it that way too. So there's an option to use points if it makes sense based on the points value. So if none of the three options that I just discussed work for you and you just need to book a hotel, the most secure way to do that is booking direct through the hotel. And when I say secure, it's mainly because if there's anything that goes wrong, you deal directly with the hotel. They usually will offer you the best pricing as well. But don't count out the third-party providers such as Expedia or Travelocity, especially if you're flying in. Sometimes you can book a package deal that will save you a lot of money. Now, the only bad thing with booking with one of those third-party agents is that if something does go wrong at the hotel, you have to call Expedia or Travelocity to deal with that. You can't deal directly with the hotel. But it can still save you a lot of money, and I think it's probably worth looking into. You might want to check out Southwest Vacations if you have a Southwest hub in your area, because they have some pretty good deals sometimes. Okay, next we're going to talk about what to pack for your trip. When packing for Vegas, one thing that you need to know are the Vegas seasons. The seasons are only two, hot and cold. Well, in all seriousness, really there's only 2 months out of the year where the temperature is kind of just average, normal. March and October, great weather. From November to about February, it's cold. And then April through September, it's really hot. But keeping all that in mind, you kind of want to just bring layers. So even when it's cold outside, I'll still kind of wear layers and just take these off because you come inside and it gets a little hot. But then also in the summertime, you may need to bring a little sweater because in the casinos, it can get really cold. Obviously, bring clothes for the activities that you're going to do. So if you're going to a nice restaurant, you'll want to bring nice clothes. But if you forget to bring something, there is shopping everywhere. We're at the Caesars Forum shops, and there are a ton of stores here. The one thing that is a must when you're in Vegas is to pack comfortable shoes. So I don't know how many times I've seen girls walking along the strip carrying their heels and walking barefoot because their feet hurt. So unless you're just going to go to dinner and you're not walking anywhere, don't wear heels, ladies. If you have to, bring some wedge sandals. I have some Skechers wedges that I can walk for miles in. Try to remember to bring all of your necessities like medications and toiletries. And the reason I say this is because if you need to go down to the hotel gift shop to buy something, you're going to pay a lot more money. For example, last time we were here, I had a headache and I forgot to bring my Advil. So I went down to the gift shop and for two pills, it was $4. And if you need chapstick, $5. So obviously very inflated pricing. But bring what you can, and if you don't remember something, you can walk a little further and go to a CVS or a Walgreens, but just expect to have to walk to get there. So another thing that you might want to consider bringing is something like liquid IV, activated charcoal, something that will help you with a hangover. If you are stuck in your room all morning or the whole day, you've sort of wasted that time. So if you prepared, you could take that before you drink or after you drink and help to recover from that hangover a little more quickly. We like to bring snacks with us on our vacation. So bring some energy bars, some nuts, things that will kind of help you out during the the day, sometimes you won't get your full 3 meals in, and because you're so busy, just grabbing some snacks in your room is helpful. Or if you have a late night craving, you could just grab something. A lot of the hotels have taken out their mini bars, but the pricing at the mini bars is way inflated, so you'd probably rather have your own snacks anyway. Another thing that you can do if you are driving to Las Vegas is bring your liquor and some mixers and make yourself some pre-game drinks before you head out for the night on the town. We'll bring in a small cooler with beer, and then we'll fill it up with ice once we get into the hotel. And that saves some money in the long run. I'm not going to try to give you advice on exactly what you should do while you're here, where you should eat. I think we would be here all day if we did that, and I know there's a lot of other videos that you've probably watched that gave you some of that information. Although I will say, make sure you get to the Bellagio Conservatory. I think it's something that we should all do when we're in Vegas. But anyway, what I want to try to do in this video is make sure that you're planning your days accordingly. There is so much to do in Vegas, and sometimes we want to cram it all in, but if you take the wrong approach, you're going to be a little disappointed. So I've seen a lot of people kind of write up agendas and try to get so much done in one day that it actually ends up not really working out. So for example, come to the Bellagio Conservatory and try to go to Fremont Street zip lining, the Mob Museum, Omega Mart, Red Rock Canyon all in one day, and then have a fancy dinner and hit a speakeasy. That might sound great, and you're going to cram a lot into that one day, and you think, okay, you're going to be busy, but at the end of the day, you're probably not going to realistically complete all of that. So rather than do that, what I would suggest is plan 2 things that you really want to do, but then have others on your list as well. And once you complete those 2, if you have extra time, go ahead and try to hit one of the other attractions. But that way you won't be so disappointed when you don't get to do everything that you want. On the flip side, if you're kind of a go with the flow type of person, you may want to consider actually planning something. I can't tell you how many trips we've been on here where we end up hanging out in the casino the entire day, and you totally lose track of time that way. And then we leave and we realize that we didn't really see or do things that we had planned on doing. So make sure to try to plan something during that time. Also, if you're going to be here, let's say more than 4 or 5 days, I would highly recommend taking a day where you basically just do self-care. Hang out at the pool and relax. Go get a massage. Take a nap in the room. I will tell you that Vegas can be extremely exhausting, and even for the young people, it will catch up to you, I promise. So while you're here, you need to consider how you're going to get around town. Now, if you're driving in, you may have a car, and that's great. But other options might include taxis and Ubers. They're both very convenient. I would say that taxis are readily available, but they're going to be a little bit more expensive than Uber and Lyft. Uber and Lyft, you may have heard of some problems earlier on in the pandemic with times taking way too long, excessive fees, costing, $40, $50 just to get down the strip. But I will tell you that that is gone. We just took an Uber yesterday across basically the strip from Planet Hollywood to Resorts World, and it was $11.72. So that's completely reasonable and what I would expect to pay. If you're staying at a hotel that has a monorail station there, that could be a good option for you to get around. Now, it doesn't stop at every hotel, and it's only on one side of the strip, but it's reasonable in cost. It costs $5 per ride, or you can pay $13 for a 24-hour pass. And then the fares kind of go down from there. So it's $23 for a 2-day pass, so it kind of gets less and less. Also, there are a couple other trams on the other side of the strip that are free, but they are very specific to the hotels. So you have one that goes from the Bellagio to the Aria, and then the Monte Carlo area, and then there's another monorail that takes you from Excalibur to Luxor and finally to Mandalay Bay. Those are free, but again, very specific, and they don't run as regularly as the monorail. So another option for you is the Deuce Bus. The Deuce Bus takes you up and down the strip, and it takes you all the way to Fremont, and it's very cheap. You can pay $6 for a 2-hour pass or $8 for a 24-hour pass. So that's a great way to get around town, but you have to have patience. It's not going to be quick like getting in a taxi or an Uber. One question that comes up is, how much cash should I take to Vegas? And of course, a lot of that's going to be personal. So cash is used here a lot for, well, for gambling, of course, but also for tips. A lot of other things can be just paid on a card, and even if you go to a restaurant, the tip can be put on a card. Cards are very widely accepted in Las Vegas, but you need to tip your bellman, your housekeeper, the cocktail waitresses, and then of course the biggest thing is the gambling. So one thing that some people do is have an envelope system. So they'll put a certain amount of money for gambling into an envelope for each day that they are here. And they only spend the money that's in the envelope for that day in gambling. So how much that is for you is really going to depend on how much you want to gamble. Now, one of the things you can consider if you do plan on spending a lot of money is you may not want to take all of that cash with you. So you can go to the casino cage and you can ask what the options are. Sometimes you can cash a check or take out a marker. But I will warn you, if you do need to get cash out from an ATM while you're here in Vegas, the fees are going to be very hefty. So $8.99 to take out money in a casino at an ATM. It's kind of okay if you have an account that reimburses your ATM fees, but if you don't have one of those accounts, you'll want to bring that cash with you or look into the options at the casino page. I hope this video was helpful in providing some tips on how to book your next Vegas vacation. If you have any questions, ask them in the comment section, or if you have any other tips that I didn't consider, we'd love to hear them. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification so that you're notified when we go live or we drop a new video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.